Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Thanks again so much for tuning in. I'm Simmer Chase. Today's episode number 16 of our speed builds. I'm so excited to get started on this one. It's the shotgun house. So basically what a shotgun is you have sort of the barrel of the house, which is just like a little skinny strip with some windows for like a hallway, common space, then either in the front of the house or the back of the house, depending on if it's a newer flip or a newer construction shotgun house or an older one. The older ones tended to have like the back porch and then the backyard and the back of the house with the kitchen so that you could have your back door going right out. However, now a lot of the flippers are bringing the kitchen to the front of the house where like the living room sort of space is and you have like a little gathering area. However, in this one, I left it more of the original design idea where the kitchen and the back door and everything are in the back. But I had the idea of rather than going back and behind the house, I would go to the left of the house since this lot had a lot more property to just the west of the house or to the left of the house. So I was like, let's go ahead and just make this a fun family house, try and fit in as much as we can. So we got quite a bit of space actually out of this 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. And I think you guys are going to really like it. It's got a pool. It's got a lot of landscaping, which I'm really getting more and more comfortable with doing a lot more larger landscape now that I can move quicker, in the game and that kind of stuff. Because I'm really trying to work on building on my speed and kind of accuracy and picking things and placing things so that I can make it a little smoother in the videos for you guys. So as always, thank you so much for tuning in, and let's go ahead and get started now. If you haven't yet, please like and subscribe in the links below. And stay proud. Go out and do something magical. And let's go ahead and dive in now. Alrighty, so I really wanted this to be like the really cool like house that we often see like either one of two ways. Either it's a really sad house or it's a really done up well house. And I wanted this house to kind of be in between that. So what we're kind of seeing right now is just the beginning footprint together, but it basically just stays like this. So it's what we kind of refer to in the United States, I'm not sure where else, but as the shotgun house, where it's basically kind of shaped like a shotgun. Basically it's got a long like barrel end, which is just like generally like a hallway that's an exterior facing wall that's split off from like some bedrooms, and then you're gonna have maybe like a little living room or something in the front or nothing, or in the back. And so your living room and kitchen and everything is going to be kind of an open concept and either in the front or the back for the most part. So I kind of went with that because like back in the old days, they were kind of back there because in the basements and crawl spaces, they would bring your coal and that kind of stuff out to your house to heat your house and fire your stove and everything. So you'd have the wood or you'd have coal or something brought into your house on a regular. And so, you would have to go and have all this brought to your house. And so the most convenient way obviously would not be coming through the front, but going through the back. So that's why a lot of like the kitchens and that sort of stuff are facing the back. And then it's also an easy way to just let the kids out or people out from the back of the kitchen outside. So it's kind of the way it was designed. But now the tradition and sort of the idea really of it is to have it all pretty much in the front of the house and leave like the privacy and everything in the back of the house. That's kind of the way that like the trend now is. So a lot of flips you'll see it reversed where like the front room and everything's all up front, as they call it, the front room, or the living room or kitchen even, or both of them are all just moved all to the front, and then they may take out a bedroom or something like that to do it. So I wanted this front porch to really kind of speak for itself and really be sort of loud. I wanted the rest of the house to be pretty simple for the most part, but I did just want to kind of pop that a little bit. I've seen this trend recently sort of in my neighborhood where people are using like shiplap or some sort of EVP, like engineered vinyl plank or something like that, to sort of differentiate the front door or the porch and kind of draw a little bit of detail to the overall facade of the house. and add a little bit of charm and character maybe that's missing. So I did elevate the porch to where it's on stilts to just kind of give it that little homey feel. And this house, like the way that I designed it, I kind of intended to just like max it out for what it could be, and then people could come in and actually make it a really affordable house and maybe downgrade the appliances and take out some of the interior stuff or downgrade them. You know, you obviously don't have to have the most expensive couch or that sort of thing, but I really wanted to also kind of make a really fun deck in this one, because I feel like that you're probably going to spend a lot more of your time outside with this big of a yard, considering the yard is like really kind of bigger than the house. So I feel like you would want to really just maximize like what is available for people to do outside to still, like, you know, kind of pack in value. Alrighty, so I'm just kind of shrinking the pool a little bit because I really want to try and get as many things as I could in this area. And I did want to kind of give it that like old-timey craftsman-y feel. It might even be like a little bit worn. So here's sort of our like shotgun concept coming together now on the inside. And so you're gonna see me actually get quite a bit out of this little chunk here. Like, you know, in some houses, like you could just totally make it to where it's just completely, you know, like huge if you wanted, and use that whole space as like one bedroom pretty much. Like I've made houses like that, but in this one I just wanted to make sure it was like good and more of an efficient floor plan that was like strategically laying things out. And I really envisioned this to be a good family house or a good starter house where you'd need a swing set and that kind of stuff. And in this family that's living here, they've got a couple kids, that kind of thing, so I thought it'd be a perfect fit. And it's got a lot of good built-in privacy with these hedges. And I really like mixing it up when I do my patios. Like I almost never do like the same arrangement twice, because we just have so many things. Like it's much easier for me to come up with ideas on the outside than it is on the inside, because so many of the outdoor objects really do mesh well together. But when it comes to some of the interior stuff, like there's definitely things that can really clash. So now I'm just getting in like our landscaping and sort of our big stuff in now, and then all the little detail pieces that I feel like really make it feel like a home. And notice they had like $4 million so I could play with, but it really only came out to like 172, I think, 172,000 simoleons, around that. And I mean, people don't obviously have to go like this in detail on the landscaping either if they needed to save some money, but I just wanted to kind of give people a good start. So a lot of times I'll start with a lot of my background pieces and then just kind of start plopping stuff in to fill around it, like I'm doing right now. Or I'll do an opposite, where if I see like a flower I really like, I'll pop in those where I can in the size that I want, and then just kind of fluff around it. Cool, so now I'm just getting like the porch together, a little bit more of the exterior stuff. And there's a variety of, like, this house could really go a number of ways because it's of the design. There's so many different ways you could really style it too, which I think is really fun, that it's more of like versatile. And then that fan, like I was like, oh no, I'm not gonna hardly be able to get many lights in like where I wanted to put them, because it was just weird right there. Like, you know, they're just like right in the way, like of the door, they're in the way of the fan, and I'm just like, nah, let's go with the sconces instead, like those like more low profile ones. Okay, cool, so now I'm just coming around to the inside. We actually fit a laundry room in here too, believe it or not, so it's exciting. Like right now the kitchen's coming together, getting all of that put in. I really love being able to do the double deckers when I can. So you're seeing me kind of get all the different cabinets in right now, and the double deckers, getting the fridge cabinet in. I didn't want to go with the highest end appliances with this, because then it probably would have been a $300,000 house. And so I wasn't trying to shoot for the moon necessarily, but I did want to get up there just so that, you know, it's kind of like really useful without needing any extra work done to it, really. You could just, you know, plug and play. So I ended up changing those lights in a little bit too, because they were just kind of there so that I had lighting to be able to get in like some of my other elements. So you'll see in a moment, like those kind of go away, things change a little bit. Cool. So now I'm just kind of getting the last bits of these put together, because again, it's more about like that little homey feel, because you could really put whatever dining room table in right there. But that's pretty much like the largest size that you'd want to try for this floor plan. But you'd even expand it if you wanted, or add an upstairs. But I just kind of wanted to really make a house too, where I can just kind of keep track of my Sims. Especially when I'm playing like a game that like trying to do some sort of challenge within the game, and I'm like also spending a lot of time trying to track people down. So the bigger houses are a little tougher for that. They're fun, I love doing them, but on the other hand, it's like makes your game that much more challenging, because then people can spread out, and like I have some that are 8 floors and just big tower, you know, multi-million simoleon towers. And it's just funny because like, you know, you can never hardly find anyone in there. Okay, so now I'm just kind of dressing up these bedrooms. I really liked being able to do a closet in here too. I felt like there was a lot of really good use of space. I probably could have even used 3 bedrooms and like limited some of my storage, but I thought that this would be really fun to kind of give you guys that sort of opportunity to have. So it took me a moment too to try and figure out some of these bedrooms and how I wanted to go with them, because I didn't want them to be too cliche, you know. I wanted them to be a little bit more homey, but at the same point I didn't want them to feel too country, I guess you could say, because I just wanted it to have more like a timely feel, where it could have been like an old days sort of house that maybe was inherited and it's still like grandma's house kind of thing. So I only wanted to put a few little like extra touches of like technology with the TVs and stuff, obviously, so they have something to do, but otherwise I probably wouldn't even put those in if it wasn't like really needed. But it's like they get bored real easy and then you have to give them something to do, so it's like TVs are definitely important. Okay, so now I'm just going through getting the last of our like equipment and stuff in the bedrooms and our decor things, and then from here then it's just kind of like the last minute bits. This one was a quick one, and it was really fun to do because I really like being able to spend more time on detail and like staging the sort of rooms, and really kind of getting out the clutter, dipping into some of the color, and kind of doing a deeper dive in the build than actually just building a room to have quantity. Because, you know, sometimes you have to, because you're building like, you know, a 20-bedroom mansion. So it's like really hard to, you know, have the ability to really focus too much on all that. So now we're getting just a few of the other things, details plugged into. Because when I started circling back, I was like, oh, I could use a few more objects here and there and everywhere. So I really wanted to make sure that like the front door area just kind of set off the tone of the house. But yet it still can fit a lot, especially if you're able to resize objects some. Like some of the rugs really do resize real well. Some of them don't, so don't always be surprised if you don't see some glitching when it comes to the rugs too. So just kind of like keep an eye on that a little bit. Doesn't really break your game, but it'll definitely make it odd looking, and then it starts looking really grainy and weird, so heads up. So then I was gonna originally like bring this out a little bit more, so then I decided to go ahead and like kind of mess with that a little bit, just so that I had a little bit extra for a TV and that kind of stuff, because I realized I didn't really have like a good living room space because I wanted the kitchen to be so big. So I did like steal a little tiny bit of square footage from that room. So now I'm just kind of like going in between, because I was starting to find objects that were really inspiring me a little bit on some of the design. Like for instance, this like room and space here. I was like, you know, this would be really fun to have like a little for a lot, you know, that it gives you a lot of opportunity to do different things in this little space. Between like the fireplace, watching TV, then being able to use the piano and all that kind of stuff. And I was just like, you know, this would be really fun to also be able to focus on like the rug detail and that kind of stuff too. So I just tried to make each little portion of each room like have its own little cohesive identity, so that all just kind of blended together. And then lots of space for doers, as I call them. But anybody that's a maker or, you know, does crafting or activities, you're gonna have something to do here. Cool. So now I'm just coming around, getting the last bit of clutter, things inside the house, before I pivot onto the bathroom. So you'll see the bathroom starting to come together here in a moment too. And then, you know, the laundry room. With the house this small, it's kind of easier to do it all at once as you find objects rather than going room by room, which is kind of what I'll do when I'm building a big house. I'll go and do like 10 beds. If there's 10 bedrooms, I'll go pick all those first. Ooh, and then there's our streaming. So that person, I was inspired by me a little bit. I was like, ooh, if I wanted a bedroom for streaming and stuff, I would want like my light, and I would want, you know, a nice computer and desk and everything all just set in there, like ready for when I wake up, I can just start streaming. Of course, nobody actually wakes up looking like this, so you have to like get ready a little bit, I guess, but it's still, you know, theoretically possible, you know. It's definitely, it's like playing Sims half asleep. Okay, so now our bedrooms are pretty much done. Now I'm going to the bathrooms, getting these finalized, set up, fixed up. And since that is like the smaller bathroom, I was like, you know, I guess we could get along with having this like smaller, just because like, I'm like, you know, it's not the master. Like the master is really got to be the big one, and you have to really be able to fit the soaking tub and all that kind of stuff in the master. So I'm like, let's not really do a big tub in there. So, you know, I just pivoted to the shower and toilet concept there for that little one, because I feel like it's probably just a kid or a couple kids that are going to be in there, because there is enough space to do like two twin beds instead. Cool. So now I'm getting in my lighting for the bathrooms. I really wanted to go a little more opulent in this one, but not super opulent, just like, you know, again with that homey sort of like old-timey kind of idea and vibe. Cool, so there's those bathrooms, got those set up and done. And I really love these artworks. I only recently discovered them, because the thing is some of these artwork thumbnails aren't the best. So some of the less, I'll call them less desirable art pieces, are the art cover, like the thumbnail cover, but then below that are some way better pieces, like the ones I just used there. And I'm like, oh, this is way better. So like now I like, you know, go there and use that a lot more once I had discovered that. But one day I like was just like, I need a piece of art to fill the space, and I clicked it and I was like, oh, crud, how did I never know this? So I was really stoked to be able to like discover it. So here's a little knitting area for grandma, or like, you know, whoever likes to knit at home. I was like playing around with like trying to figure out which table I wanted for that little section, but I really like that one from Parenthood. It's nice. And exactly kind of what I was looking for, because I didn't really want something that was like homemade looking. Cool, so now we're getting the last of the clutter in the laundry room as well. I really love being able to do laundry rooms. It's so much fun. It's probably my favorite stuff pack, honestly, because it just added so much more to it versus any of the other stuff packs that are just kind of like a few objects and a few things. But being able to like have that realism brought to it, I think was really cool. Cool, so now we're just getting in my clutter. Lots more clutter. And then extra lighting, checking on my lighting too, because I really wanted something, and so I just kind of went with those, because again, it's more of that like old whimsy design style. Okay, then I swapped in my mailboxes, kind of checked that out. We definitely needed a fire pit too. And then all this like outside lighting, everybody knows like at this point probably, but I'm obsessed with outdoor lighting. I love it. Like it's I get so excited every time I see it, just because these houses just look so cool at night. But it's like you really have to have good lighting to be able to really utilize the features of the game and the way that the lighting and illusions work. So it's really good to do that and kind of put more than what you might think you would need. Cool, so now I'm just getting the last of our outside little fun spaces to visit, situated, way more lighting again, because you can never have enough lighting. Cool, so now like the area that faces sort of the street here. And then I was like, ooh, this whole area needs a lot. So you're gonna see all this populate and fill in, just because you don't want any like, you know, stands, you know, kind of wandering in. So I'm not saying they will, but you know, you can just kind of have a safer bet being able to have all this landscaping kind of giving you a buffer. So here's all that going in. I really like this wisteria or whatever it's called. I'm not quite sure what it's called, but I really like that. It's really pretty. And I only recently started incorporating that sort of into my stuff too that I do, because before I hadn't really spent a lot of time with romantic garden objects other than like the wishing well and like, you know, a couple of those like pieces that are just a little more like Roman-esque, you know, I've used like the one with the statue and the canopy theme. So okay, now I'm just getting the exterior sort of together and finalized. So you're gonna see a lot of this kind of come around and me like piddle with that a little bit, because now that we've got our window update, it just makes this way better. Alrighty, so now we're gonna do our final spin. You guys can kind of see what it looks like, and daytime, nighttime, through the day. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm so grateful for you guys swinging back by and checking it out. Hope you have a great day. Stay proud and go out and do something magical.